everyone, welcome to Coach on Command. My name is Arron Littleton. I am the head coach of your Gymnastics Sport Center Storm, two-time AGA Champion, and your host of this hour of excitement and wonder. Thanks so much for tuning in. We've got a great show for you tonight, as we always do, and I've got some of my esteemed colleagues here hanging out with me, and I'll let them introduce themselves. But first, we do have a first here, and that is that we have our first guest on Coach on Command. We have this man right here who needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. We have the founder of the Gymnastics Sport Center. We have my mentor, friend, and Texas gymnastics icon Joe Cronin here with us, Mr. Cronin, as he is often known. So, Mr. Cronin, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll get started.
Just happy to be here. Wichita Falls. I moved here in 1990 and spent 30 years in this wonderful, wonderful town. And if I didn't have other things to do, I would be back here in a heartbeat.
I'm Coach Kaegan, and I am the tallest person in this building.
I'm Coach Tracy, and today I'm going to try and be nice to Kaegan.
Good luck.
It's a New Year's miracle. All right. So, yes, Mr. Cronin is here with us. We're excited to have him, first ever guest on Coach on Command. So, do not adjust your TV set. His hair really is that perfect in real life if you've ever met him. So we're excited to get this thing going. So, as always, if you're enjoying the podcast, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all of that.
If you want any tips on how to fix your hair, by all means, just
ask coc@yahoo.com.
All right, wonderful. So now we're through all of that. That's a good introduction. And so for the main topic of conversation tonight, we are going to be talking about leadership. And so in my estimation, one of the most important factors of whether your program is ultimately successful or if it fails is whether or not you have competent leadership at the helm. Okay, so you need someone who can take command of the situation. You need somebody who has an ambitious vision for what you're trying to do, and also someone who is a staying hand when the turbulent waters will ultimately arise. So as the old saying goes, if you don't know where you're going, then how do you know how to get there? And so leadership, the topic under consideration. So, Mr. Cronin, we'll start with you. What are some of the more important aspects of leadership? Obviously, you led the Gymnastics Sport Center for over 30 years. You know a little bit about leadership. So tell us, what are some of the most important aspects of leadership in your opinion?
I think you mentioned a good thing as far as you have to kind of know where you're going. You've got to set the course. And one of the things about leadership is that you're going to be the guy out front. You're going to be the man that everybody is watching, and so you do set the tone, you do set the example for the gym, and hopefully you have good people around you that will follow good leadership, and. A lot of times I ask the people who work for me to do some pretty difficult things, but I never ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. And so I think that's an aspect that I think about as far as just being the guy out front and making sure that you're doing the right thing always.
Exactly what Mr. Cronin said. I'd literally just be echoing him. That is, in my opinion, the most important aspect of leadership, because without that, you're not really leading, you're just bossing people around.
I can agree with that. I can think of one other thing that I'd like to add: the ability to make decisions. If you don't know how to steer the ship, or you refuse to steer the ship in a certain direction, your ship's going to end up going nowhere. So you need to be able to make decisions. And I think that anyone that doesn't know how to make decisions, I think that's a skill that you can work on and develop. I don't think it's something you're innately born with. Some people may have better talent at it than others, but I think it's a skill that everyone should be working on all of the time. The ability to decide on something and then move forward towards that decision.
No, I think you bring up a point there. People talk about natural born leaders, and I don't think that that's how it is at all. I don't think that you're just, you're born and you're like, all right, I'm ready to take command
Put the crown
of this.
on. Let's go.
Right. That's not how it happens. In fact, I've said for a long time that I think that leaders, they're forged. It's iron on iron. There's a lot of things that you got to go through to become a competent leader, and all those things are hard for the first thing, but they all make you better. And so you've got to kind of lean into that a little bit. So the things that I'm going to say as far as important aspects of leadership are twofold, really. And the first one I think is really important if you're going to lead, but also in your everyday life, and that's accountability. Right? You can't, it's easy. Everybody, it's somebody else's fault. It's not my fault. It's like, nah, man. Especially if you're going to lead, you've got to be out front, like you said, and you've got to be accountable for everything that's going on around you. Because if you're not, if there's no accountability, it's hard to be successful that way.
I would say that if you're at the top, it is your fault. Doesn't matter who did it.
Right, and that is the exact verbiage I have in my notes. Is everything is your fault, and I tell my coaches all the time. It's that it's so and so's fault. It's like, no, were you supposed to be able to do this? You should have oversaw it. It's your fault, and that unfortunately is part of the leadership thing, And so you've got to lead from in front, right? There's that meme that I've seen that's like leader versus boss, and boss is like in a chair, and there's like 20 people pulling him on their back, and then there's the leader who sets the tone, who's out in front, who kind of makes things easier for people to follow him by the routine that he gets in, and I think that all of those things are important. And so accountability, number one. Number two is work ethic, right? And so when I was first coming up with the concept of the storm and what I really wanted our team to embody, I came up with the tagline, outwork everyone. And that's really kind of what you got to do as the leader. And it's like, nobody should be outworking you. Nobody should be here before you. Nobody should be here later than you. It's like, if you are going to embody leadership, you've got to be the staying force within the workout, within the routine of the day. And the other thing, I love Assassin's Creed. I'm actually wearing an Assassin's Creed shirt right now.
Nerd.
And in Assassin's Creed, they say, we work in darkness to serve the light. And that is basically what you're doing as a leader. There are so many things that you're going to do at 10 o'clock at night, at 8 o'clock in the morning when nobody else is here. And you've got to be prepared to do those things because you've got to be a self-motivator. If you're not, those things aren't going to get done. And obviously your program will be worse off for it. Now, the other thing is that with that, and this is something that I've had to learn that's particularly annoying to me, it's like nobody knows all the stuff that you have to go through to put this on the floor. And so, everybody comes in, it's like, wow, I hadn't been here in 2 weeks. I hadn't been here in whatever. It's like, oh, wow, where did this come from? How did that get done? It's like, yeah, it's magic elves. That's what it is. There's just some
We keep
elves.
Santa's workshop in the back.
I know, right. There's just magic elves. That's how this place runs. We just hope really hard, and and stuff happens. It's like, no, and it's like, so like I said, there's a lot of stuff that you're gonna have to do after hours, before hours, during hours, whatever, that nobody's ever going to know about. And you've got to be able to put in that work, and you've got to be a self-motivator enough to do that, and that's what encompasses leadership.
On that note, I think about people who look at your schedule and they go, oh, you only work, 18 hours, 12 to 18 hours a week, because that's all you're in the gym. And it's like, that's not even the half of it, and all the preparation and all that goes on, like you said, behind the scenes. And it's like, no, I work 60, I work 80 hours on a light week, when you're the leader of, especially in a gym.
Right, and then you have, and then if you're the head coach on top of that, then you go to a meet for 20 hours in one day, and all that. So yeah, sometimes 80 hours is light work in a week.
Yeah, you really gotta understand that you're going to be an unsung hero a lot of times. Very often, most people won't even recognize what you're doing, so you're going to get very few pats on the back for going above and beyond and doing the extra work.
Absolutely. That's great. I love that. That's very, very good answers all around there. So the next thing is, obviously, when you're in charge of a program, you've got to develop some sort of leadership philosophy for what you're doing. And whether that be because you've tried other things and it doesn't work, so you know what doesn't work, or maybe you have a certain mantra about which that you go about your business. So I think philosophy is very important. And so, Mr. Cronin, you've been in charge for years and years and years. And so tell me what you've learned and what is your leadership philosophy?
It's simple with the gymnastics business. Before my wife and I opened up the gym, I used to work as a juvenile detention officer, so we'd lock them down, anywhere from 10-year-olds to 16-year-olds, and both boys and girls. And I didn't know if I would like that type of work, but I did like being around children. And so when we opened up the gym, people go, "Oh, well, aren't you glad that you're working with a better class of children?" And the thing is, no, I mean, children are children. If you don't like working with children, this business is not for you. And so as far as the leadership philosophy goes, I looked for other young people who liked children, because I can teach you how to teach a cartwheel. I can teach you how to spot a back tuck all day, all night, and that's not a difficult thing to do, but I cannot teach somebody, how to love children. And so, as a leader, I wanted people around me who had that same passion for kids and had that same understanding for children.
If you're way down here, they're going to be way down here or off the walls. You have to stay as level as possible, or else you will not be able to properly lead anything.
I would say that my leadership philosophy is that to be a true master, you have to be an eternal student. So you always have to be learning and trying to develop your craft. Was that too corny for you?
No, I love it. There's always like some martial arts, like something that's going on.
So
we go to the cinema where we are an eternal student.
I'm sorry. That's just how I feel.
That's good.
I love it, man. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Leadership is also a skill that you need to constantly learn about and try to develop. Like I said, natural-born leaders, you might be born with some talent, but hard work can overcome a lack of talent. At least I think so. So that's something that I think is important as you try to develop your leadership philosophy. Just got to always try and learn more and more about what you're doing.
And I think that I'm the perfect embodiment of what you just said about hard work can overcome the lack of talent. And that's because, I've said before, it's like when this man hired me and decided that he wanted me to work for him for reasons unbeknownst to me at the time, because I had no skills, I had nothing, but I worked, man, and I got to work, and everything that I've learned, I think developed a little bit more talent as we went along, but the genesis was that I was willing to work for it, And so yeah, I completely understand what you're saying.
But I saw that too, that you cared about the children, and so the skills were gonna come because you had a good knack for that as well too. And so yeah, I could teach you that, but really first and foremost, you just like being around the kiddos, and that was important to me, and that's maybe one of the reasons I kept you around.
All right, so my leadership philosophy, I think, has been taught to me in the school of hard knocks, and so you kind of learn through either doing things successfully, or you learn even more by not being successful whatsoever. And I think that's really where most of this has come from. But number one, and this really is kind of part and parcel of being a head coach, and something that you really need to consider if you're going to be the person who is in charge of a program, and that is that no one is coming to save me. It is you. There's not going to be, Dudley Do-Right or whoever is not going to, right up in here and save you from whatever you're going on. So you've got to be equal to the task, which means you've got to evolve your mindset so that you can be equal to that task. And so that is number one. No one is coming to save you. The other thing is, and I've said this before, but this is number one, maybe 1A of things that I think about in my everyday routine, and that's that you can't expect the athletes to be anything that you're not. If you don't care, they're not going to care. You set the tone. And so if we're talking about leadership, obviously, and so you set the tone for what you want them to be. And so you need to be dutiful, you need to be respectful, you need to be conscientious, you need to work hard, and they need to see you do all of those things. Because if you don't do those things, then guess what? Neither are they. And eventually they're going to be either bad teammates, or they're going to, some other bad thing is going to happen. And you need to embody the values that you want your group to have. And, that's certainly a step in the right direction. And then the last thing that I have is I've been accused of being insensitive sometimes when it comes to people's feelings. And, yeah.
Accused?
Gentle Arron?
Caught in Ultra HD.
I've been accused of being insensitive to feelings, and that's because I don't care about them. And there's a demotivational poster that I love that says, "Get to work. You're not being paid to believe in the power of your dreams." And that's it. If you want to be the head coach, the buck stops here. Get to work. If you're not outworking everybody around you, then guess what? You're not going to be very successful. If you're waiting on somebody else to set the tone, then you're at their mercy. And so if you want to be a leader, in any facet, and this just doesn't go for gymnastics, but be accountable, get to work. And those things will certainly help you on the road. And so last question. I've always said that anyone can be a leader when things are going well. When you're up in your cushy office and you got your 7 throw pillows on the couch and you're just hanging out. It's easy to be in charge when things are going well. Everybody wants to be the boss. Everybody wants to be the king, just boss people around. But, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And so you really earn your money as a leader, as a head coach, as a gym owner, as just a general leader in life when things are going wrong. And so what is your advice, Mr. Cronin, to helping people lead effectively through difficult times?
Well, can you lead when everything is going right? Is that, effective leadership? How much of your leadership will really come through? And just on a personal note, you and I have been involved in a program that we walked out of, and it was all set there. The rotations were set, the students were set, everything was set, and new leadership was brought in. And how did it turn out? It turned out to be a disaster.
Not well.
Not well. And so when everything is going well, you still have to be the leader. It doesn't, there's no autopilot. And when things are going bad, when you have a gymnastics meet where you're moving equipment, and it's a 3-day process, and during those 3 days you literally get like 6 hours of sleep total. When things are going really, really rough, you just have to, dig down and get through it, encourage your staff, and eventually all that's going to pass. And someday that's just going to be I want to say a funny memory, a interesting memory to talk about, and how we got through some really difficult times.
For my advice, I would say it's willpower. You cannot do anything that you don't think you can do. You have to will it into existence, and you have to care about it. If you don't care, it's not going to happen.
So I would say my advice when leading through difficult times is you have to remember you are the tip of the spear. If you show actively that times are excessively rough, that will rub off on others. You got to try to temper your manners and make sure that your negativity doesn't show through, even if you want it to. You have to try to remain level-headed and carry. You got to keep staying at the front. You got to pull everyone else along with you. You Because if times are rough for you, times are likely rough for everyone. And so you can't let the negativity take over the entire camp.
That's solid. I mean, I think about that joke where the sergeant goes to the first mate or whatever. I don't know, military.
Sergeant
childhood.
and first mate.
Whatever,
Wow.
I don't know.
I was in the Marine Corps. And we had sergeants. We never had a first mate.
Okay, anyway, whatever.
Aye, sir.
Metaphors there.
I don't know. I flip children. I don't know anything about the military. So anyway, it says, finally, the captain of the ship says to the first mate, "Are we good? We're there."
That's better, sailor.
Fantastic.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. It says to the first mate, "Hey, bring me my red shirt." And he's like, "Why?" It's like, because if I get shot, I want everybody to not dismay. I want them to continue fighting. And so that's basically what you said there. I mixed the metaphors, but still, point still remains. All right, and so
It's called a playbill.
In Star Trek, didn't the guy with the red shirt always die?
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, that is how that worked.
It's a perfect metaphor. Anyway, all right. So, what are my tips for being a leader when things go wrong? Number one is double down on accountability, because it's real easy when somebody's in your face about why is this not done, blah, 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 what is going on. It's real easy to be like, oh, it's Kaegan's fault. It's Tracy's fault.
I don't
Whoa,
do it
now.
for it to be my fault.
It's Mr. Cronin's fault. Whoever. It's somebody else's fault. It's Santa Claus's fault. Whatever. It's super easy to blame somebody else, and so you've got to double down on the accountability, right? And so you've got to really make sure that you are owning the things that are going wrong, because only in that can you have enough structure to fix the problem. And the other thing is, things have been tough, and when you're in competition and you don't win, losing really amplifies a lot of problems. Anybody who's watched sports for 10 minutes can tell you that. There are people screaming at each other on the sidelines, all of that. And so for a while, I felt like I had done enough to become a champion in the way that I wanted to become, as far as, with our gymnastics and everything. And I thought I should have been somewhere that I was not. And I had the realization smack me in the face that it doesn't matter if you feel like you deserve something. It doesn't matter if you think that you've worked hard enough to have something. If you don't have it, you haven't earned it yet. And so, get to work.
Yeah. Facts don't care about your feelings.
Ah, yes. Ben Shapiro reference, fantastic. All right, and then the other thing is basically the same last bullet point that I've had to each one of these questions, and that's stop whining and get to work. You're never going to have the success that you want if you're not working for it. And it's easy to throw your hands up and say that you don't know why things aren't going your way, but you've got to will things into existence a lot of times, and that's just the truth of it. And so there you go. Good leadership. So, randomly strong opinion of the day. Who would like to start? Anybody?
Toilet paper should really only be hung in one direction. This is a fact. Okay? If you're hanging it so that the toilet paper comes down closest to the wall, sorry, you are wrong. Okay? You are absolutely wrong. There is only one good scenario where that is acceptable, and that is should you have house cats that like to play with things that hang loose. That is the only acceptable scenario. Otherwise, do it the right way. Have the toilet paper hang out towards the outside from the wall.
But a good leader will have already trained his cat. So
Oh, that's wild.
No, not everyone's good leaders. Some people got to learn the hard way. It's a skill.
it's a skill.
Your cat's helping you develop.
All right, Mr. Cronin.
Guys, do not unplug from the wall by pulling on the cord. That is just a major faux pas. The story goes that the gym was closed down for a week, so we went on. My family and I went on vacation, and we're driving back, and I get a call. I get a call, Mr. Cronin. I was like, yes. I was like, the fire department came to the gym while you were gone. I'm like, wait, the gym was closed. The only thing going on should have been like private lessons. I didn't have any plans for a fire being in the gym. But we had a dipping dot machine that was getting warm, and one of my coaches, trying to be helpful, who was there at the time doing private lessons, decided to, it's too hot to touch, so we're going to grab the cord and pull it from the cord, and the cord just melted off. The wires touched together. The side of the wall, which was the parents' observation area, completely flamed up. They called 911. The fire department was over. Needless to say, when I got back from vacation, I was doing some painting. So don't pull something out from the wall by the cord. Take it right there next to the outlet and pull it from there.
2008 Chrysler PT Cruisers. Worst cars ever. I just had to change the radiator out of mine. I had to do so much mundane garbage to just get everything out, let alone back in. There is like 30 useless bolts that don't need to be there when it's perfectly secured. You have to take the battery out to get to everything. But to get the battery out, you have to take out the air filter. It's the least user-friendly car ever, and it's so annoying, but I have to deal with it because it's my car.
We had a gymnast, and her mother had a Chrysler PT Cruiser, and she told me about the time that she had pushed in the cigarette lighter. Back then, I don't know if you know what a cigarette lighter is, but back then the PT Cruisers came with them. She pushed it in, and it shot out into the back seat. I'm like, Chrysler.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Nobody was injured and nothing caught fire. Nobody was stabbed.
Yeah, they shouldn't pull from the cord.
I worked on other Chrysler cars. They're easier to work on than the PT Cruiser. Like, especially the 2008. It's just so... I'm very thankful that I have a car, but I also really hate the car. It's cool looking, I guess, but that's its only redeeming quality.
Okay, so listen, if you're gonna say its only redeeming quality is it's cool looking,
Yeah, exactly. It's cool looking.
I don't
Let's
think
talk
it's
about
got
your
very many-
priorities, though.
I'm just
That's
saying.
priority 3 at most.
Everything is bad besides that.
It looks super cool on the side of the road.
Where it has broken down and I've left it.
I was literally
Kaegan is being the heartthrobiest heartthrob on the side of the road with his cool car. All right, so my randomly strong opinion of the day will definitely offend quite a bit of the populace in my home state of Texas.
Sensitivity.
No, my will definitely offend a lot of people in Texas, and that is people who back in everywhere. I don't know what their deal is. That is the most ridiculous thing in the world. Listen, okay, you're going to have to pull in one way and you're going to have to back out one way. All right? There's no advantage at all to doing it. You're just stopping up traffic for no reason. And so my favorite thing is I travel a lot, and so I've been several places over the last few years, and there are a few motels that have signs that say "Do not back in these spaces," and I always sent it to a certain person that I know who always backs in for no reason. And there you go, randomly strong opinion of the day. I've been saving it just for this occasion.
You know, if you back into your spot, you can see more easily as you pull out.
True. You're less in the way that time.
So I've got a backup camera. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't.
Not all of us are living a life of luxury like you are.
Yeah, I've got a tiny little clown car.
I would much rather have your car over my car.
So
Me too.
My
So
back hatch doesn't open.
So really, this randomly strong opinion of the day is everybody get a backup camera. All right, so that'll about do it for us. We thank you all, as always, for hanging out. Remember, like, subscribe. Please stay tuned for fake news.
And have a flipping great day.
And don't forget to set. Take care.